This story is our story, which so often goes untold. The story of those left sitting by the curb, waiting for a ride that may never arrive. The story of how so many disabled in Ontario are left stranded, idling.
We live brighter lives on the darker side.
So, we had a pretty good day today. It was pretty cold and pretty miserable down on the road, very rainy. But it is May 2-4. It's clearing up now, and I figured we deserve a break just as much as everybody else. So we're going to head out downtown right about now. Bright and early on a Thursday morning, and we're just pulling out of the parking lot right now. We're heading over to Shoppers Home Healthcare to get a little bit of tune-up on the chair.
And when it cut out, it hasn't. When did it cut out?
I was driving.
And it only cut out once.
Cut out. Flipped the control off, flipped it back on. It was good to go. And then it happened again a couple hours later. Again, I was driving. I just cut out, flipped it off, flipped it back on, and it's good to go again.
Your controller's working right now, but it's like an intermittent connection. You got a broken wire in there, breaks.
Yeah.
You're fine for a little bit of time, and it might not even be a break. What happens is you're pulling high current.
Yeah.
Heat, stress. I just showed you the fuse holder. You see how it heats up?
Yeah.
When you've got resistance, which is when metal corrodes, it creates resistance. It restricts current flow.
Yeah.
Performance.
Yeah.
Right now, you're running, but it's telling me that you're probably got you could have an intermittent problem, and it could be through heat.
Yeah.
Controller. Your harness is fine now. Put a new fuse holder in there.
Cool.
Really good fuse holder in there.
Right on.
But the cabling issue, you've got quite a lot of error codes with the cabling in it, and I'm pretty sure that they erased all your error codes.
Yeah.
So it's making me feel it's your controller.
Between now and 2010, we will be buying 400 new accessible buses, investing over $300 million to do that, so that by 2010, 100% of our bus fleet will be accessible.
So we just got back from the Open Forum on Accessible Transportation in Toronto. It was held by the TTC. They brought everybody together at the CNIB building on Bayview. I was really worried at first when we were going. I didn't know how many people were going to be there. I was worried that we were going to be one of the few people who showed up. It turns out I could not have been more wrong. The room was packed. There had to have been like 200 people in the building. There had to have been at least 200, if not more. People of all ages. There were young people, there was teenagers, there were older people, there was business professionals, it was everybody. There was such a good population out there, a very diverse population, coming to voice their concerns. And the meeting started out with a very long presentation by the TTC explaining what they're going to be doing. And I thought there was some optimism there in what they are planning to do. They're talking about things like fully accessible buses by 2010. They're talking about fully accessible subways very soon. They're talking about renovating and rejuvenating the streetcar system so that it's fully accessible. So I think there was definitely some optimism there that things are going to be improving in Toronto over the next few years. The problem, of course, is money. That they have these big plans, but they're going to cost a lot of money. So I thought things were looking pretty good. David Lepofsky got up right at the beginning. He was one of the first people to ask a question, and he made a really good point where he commented that the TTC brilliantly are complaining about not having enough money, and yet they spent something like $500,000 fighting him in court to not have accessible service. And so if they were so worried about money, then why did they fight for him so much? Why were they paying all this money into legal fees? And he made a good point. He said the TTC should never be using money to fight transportation. I think that's a really good point. I mean, it's a very good point. The meeting, it was very well attended. There was lots of comments and lots of very similar concerns. People saying that routes need to be more accessible, that Wheel-Trans does not really work, that their concerns are not being heard, that people are not listening. And there seems to be a collective agreement that we need to have federal and provincial support for accessible transportation. Everybody liked the idea about getting together, going to Queen's Park, and saying we need a difference. We need to make a difference. We need something changed. We can do better. And I think this gives me, I'm pretty optimistic now. I'm feeling good about going in there on Monday, going to Queen's Park and voicing some of these concerns and letting the government know, letting the politicians know that there is a need out there. And as we've noticed, as we've gone across this trip, that these needs are very similar across the province. People are being left behind. But there is optimism. There are solutions out there. We're here today at the Royal Ontario Museum. We're invited by Hunter Crosby to take part in the disability exhibit that's happening here. I'm pretty excited. I've seen the exhibit once before, but it's going to be really neat to hear the guest lecturer and see it again and talk to some people in the disabled community, the activist community, who are gathered here today.
It's not the ones I used to know. It's not the ones before.
It's like, sometimes he just talks without thinking. And I was like, I know what that's like. That is my life. That's how I got into this. So I didn't know when to stop talking. I haven't. I will not. I refuse to. At this point, it would just be like betraying myself.
I don't know every single road in Toronto. I got stopped for the directions like 5 times.
So did Pete. They were like, oh, did you run?
A ginger kid, actually. A ginger guy with a beard came and asked me how to get somewhere. I'm like, I'm not.
They were brothers. They were brothers. You could sense it.
Some dude asked me where Adelaide was, and I was like, man, I don't even know.
Do we look like Torontonians now?
Well, I am a Torontonian, but I'm bad with
There's no
directions.
Torontonian look.
Well,
Are you kidding me?
I never said I look like a Torontonian.
No, I'm just saying, there's
but
3
I am
million
a
people here. Like,
I
how
think
many of them are
there's
going to look the exact same?
I think there's a
more
mystique.
distinguishable.
I think there's
You
a
look like you know where you're going. I think
I
that's...
can't tell the difference between Torontonians. But here we are in Nathan Phillips Square. We're just about to go into our meeting with David Miller. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm excited to hear what they're doing. I'm still pretty excited and pretty amazed that we got a meeting with David Miller. We're going to go into the legislature here to see question period and be a part of that whole process and meet up with a couple of MPs while we're here.